Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be factorizing trinomials, our fifth and last edition in factorization. Suppose you are given this expression is our fifth example. We have negative 40 plus 5a squared minus 35a. Okay, first thing that we need to do is by inspection is to ensure that this expression is written in descending form. So we'll have 5a squared minus 35a minus 40. That's what we need to do as our first part of our inspection. Now secondly is to now look at this expression, and we can clearly see that we have a common factor that can divide right across the whole expression. So we have divided by 5 divided by 5 divided by 5. So we can divide by 5 right across. So clearly by doing that, when we divide 5 by 5, it enters 1. 5 into 5 enters 1. So what remains is just simply a squared. 5 into 5 enters once. 5 into 35 enters 7 times. So we remain with negative 7a. And notice this is in the parentheses. 5 into 5 enters once. 5 into 40 enters 8 times. So we have negative 8. Close bracket. We still have our 5 as our common factor. So we maintain that 5. Moving forward, we now move on to group our expression. So we have a and a as the leading expressions in the parentheses. So notice now we have 8 as a constant, and we need to consider all the factors of 8. So we have 1, 2, 4, and 8. Those are the 4 factors of 8. So by verification, we can just simply multiply those extreme factors to see whether they give us this common product here of 8. So 1 times 8 gives us 8, and 2 times 4 gives us 8. So indeed, we need to find now these factors. So we want to consider 2 factors of this nature in such a way that when we add or subtract, you should be able to give us negative 7a. Remember, what you want to find is this negative 7. This is the negative 7 we want to find. So 2 subtract 4. 2 subtract 4 gives us negative 2, or 2 plus 4 gives us 6. So it cannot yield this number, which is negative 7. So move on to the next combination. The next combination is this 1 and 8. So 1 subtract 8 gives us negative 7, and that gives us what we are looking for, which is negative 7. Because of that, we can go ahead and write our 2 factors. So those are 1 and 8. Now notice now we have written 1 and 8. Between 1 and 8, 8 is the greater value. So because it's a greater value, we'll move on back to looking at our operation in front of the middle term. In this case, in our context, this is the operation in front of our middle term, which is negative 1. Now because 8 is greater than 1, 8 is greater than 1, the greater value gains the operation in front of the middle term, this operation. Purely because 8 is greater than 1, it takes that operation, so it becomes negative 8. Now moving forward, negative 8 multiplied by this negative 8 gives us positive. So in this case, what we have now is that, what we have now is 5, that's a factor, a plus 1 multiplied by a minus 8. That's our final answer for this example. So moving on to the next example, in our fifth problem. So just devise a space here at the bottom so that you can be able to annotate this example. Now, our second approach can be like this. So we have negative 40 plus 5a squared minus 35a. Writing this in descending form, we have 5a squared minus 35a minus 40. Okay, so what we need to do now, in this case, we need to find two factors of the leading coefficient, which is in this case, or leading expression or term in this instance is 5a squared. So what we do now is to have 5a. We know that 5a multiplied by a will give us 5a squared. Okay, and then remember now what we need to do now is to actually cross multiply. We want to multiply in such a way that after multiplying those factors 5a and a, after multiplying those factors, they must be able to give us a product, and after getting that product, when we add the sum, or rather summing up those two products, they must give us the sum of the middle term. Let's see how this pans out. So we have a, you know that if you multiply a multiplied by 5 gives us positive 5a, and it's positive 5a. It's very important to consider the operations. So 5a multiplied by negative 8 gives us negative 40a. Okay, so the idea holistically is to ensure that we always add those two products, okay, to get a sum. So positive 5a plus negative 40a gives us negative 35a. Now, because this expression appears to be true and it meets this criteria here, we can start inferring, or rather deducing on the basis to say that these are the factors. So by grouping those factors, you can just simply say, therefore, 5a, remember this is positive, 5a plus 5 multiplied by a minus 8 gives us 5a squared. Sorry, just a pen. Gives us 5a squared minus 35a minus 40. Okay, so now in a nutshell, that is our answer. This is our answer. And notice that answer, in fact, this is not complete because we need to factorize fully. So by factorization, or full factorization, we need to find the common factor. Hence now notice that we still have 5 here, So 5a plus 1 multiplied by a minus 8. That appears to be all factorized. So that essentially is our final answer. Okay, so this is our final answer. Now notice this answer here. This answer is the same as that answer there. Okay, so we're going to look at another last example for the day. This is more like a technique kind of approach, so it's very important that one follows this application. So this is our fifth example. Now in this case we still maintain our initial expression that were given as a problem. So we have negative 40 plus 40a squared minus 35a. Now notice what happens. We need to still write this in descending form. So we have positive 5a squared minus 35a minus 40. Okay, now what we need to do, we want to multiply the leading value of the first coefficient. So we have 5 multiplied by negative 40, so we have two values. We have 5 multiplied by negative 40. In fact, I'm going to run out of space. So we multiply those two values together. 5 multiplied by negative 40, we get negative 200 a squared. Okay, in fact, I'm going to want to avoid the coefficients of those. I just write them as constants. So we have negative 200. So the two factors of negative 200 are negative 40 and positive 5. Okay, now we want to, after doing that, after multiplying those two factors to get the product of negative 200, we want to use those two factors now to sum them up and see what we get. So we have negative 40 plus positive 5, that gives us negative 35. Now if we see this identity matching this middle term, then we can start splitting this middle term. So we know that we're going to just simply use, or rather take these two terms. So we have 40, so I'm going to split them up in two. So I have already negative 40, which is this value here. It's negative 40a. Now positive multiplied by positive gives us positive, so I'm write positive there, and then that's actually positive 5a. All I need to do now is just to simply drop the constant, which is negative 40, so I have negative 40. And I also drop the leading coefficient. There I have positive 5a squared. Now we're almost done. So what I need to do is just to group them. So I have the first parenthesis and the second parenthesis. So what I need to identify is a common factor within the scope of those parentheses. So 5 appears to be our common factor in this case, in the first parenthesis, as well as a. So we have a minus. Now notice 40, it is divisible by 5, so we have 8 as our factor in this case, or quotient in this case. So plus So in the second parenthesis, 5 is also a factor, a common factor. So we have 5, and then we have a minus 8. Okay, so now what we do now, remember now we already have 5a plus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and write 5a plus 5, put that in the parenthesis or bracket, and then what I have last is a minus 8, which is the identity of these two parentheses. And in a nutshell, we are almost done. One last step is now to find common factor of the first parenthesis. So we have, in this case, 5. So a plus 1 multiplied by a minus 8, close bracket. Now, what I need to do is to emphasize that this answer here, in other words, this answer here is the same as this answer here, and is the same as this answer here. So we have three applications serving the same problem. So through practice, one should be able to see this exercise like a walk in the park. So I hope that you enjoy the practice of mathematics. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel so that I can be able to create more mathematical videos or other content. And then please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and drop a comment in the box below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.